I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz
I
is a
did
gun.
not know that.
If
And I thought
somebody
that was
breaks in
powerful.
my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
My staff will deal with that later.
So Kamala Harris is once again saying that she's pro-Second Amendment, that she owns guns, but she's also stated expressly now that if she got into office, she would ban rifles nationwide. She would put in place a so-called assault weapon ban. She would put in place red flag laws, and then also universal background checks. Now, before we jump into this video, I want to thank one of the new sponsors of the channel, which is Patriot Mobile. For 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been the only company in America, the only wireless provider that has Christian conservative values. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you the ability to access all 3 major networks. That means that the same coverage you would get from those companies is the exact same that you would get from Patriot Mobile. And you can also then support a company that has the same values as you, which is pro-freedom of speech, pro-2A, and pro-freedom. And also they are 100% based in the US, which means that if you need to call customer service, they're all here in the US, and I believe most of their team is actually in Texas. So I recommend that you guys check out Patriot Mobile if you're interested. You can go to patriotmobile.com/scholar, or you can call 972-PATRIOT. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the recent statements made once again by Kamala Harris, stating that she's pro-Second Amendment, that she's a gun owner, that she owns guns, and that she believes in the Second Amendment, but she states always, right after that she would like to put in place national bans on rifles, probably bans on magazines as well, and she also wants national red flag laws, and then also universal background checks. So recently during the debate with Trump, she got all hot and bothered and got angry at Trump and said that he needs to stop lying, saying that she doesn't believe in the Second Amendment, that she wants to ban and confiscate guns. And she said expressly here in this clip that she does not want to get rid of guns.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
But then just weeks later, just soon after making those statements during the debate, she has gone on multiple interviews now. Most recently, she did this interview with Oprah Winfrey, where she made statements again that she's a gun owner. She also stated that if someone ever broke into her home, she would shoot that individual. So here are the statements that she recently made.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If
And I thought
somebody
that was
breaks in
powerful.
my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
My staff will deal with that later.
So with all of this, it's interesting because you have Kamala Harris actively trying to say that she's pro-Second Amendment, that she's a gun owner, and she does not want to infringe on our rights. But if you look at the track record of Kamala Harris, it is very clear that she is anti-gun, she wants to violate the Second Amendment, and she wants to ban and confiscate firearms. Now, if you just look at the context of her history, right now, currently as the vice president, she is the head of the new White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which actually collaborates with anti-gun groups like Everytown and Giffords. And their whole objective in this new executive agency that was put in place through the Biden administration, their whole goal is essentially to collaborate with anti-gun groups and then agencies like the ATF, FBI, and others to go after firearms, to further regulate firearms in your possession of them. But let's go back even further. Let's look at when she was the Attorney General of the state of California. While she was the California Attorney General, one of her jobs was to enforce California gun laws, and she advocated for stronger gun control laws in the state of California. And then also as the Attorney General for the state of California, she, I believe, joined with a bunch of other attorney generals in other states to write amicus briefs to the United States Supreme Court in the Heller case. If you're not aware, the DC versus Heller case was one of the first landmark Second Amendment cases that we got that was pro-Second Amendment and actually identified what the Second Amendment protects beyond just what the text of the Second Amendment states, and expressly stated that the right of the Second Amendment is an individual right, that me and you under the Second Amendment have an individual right to keep and bear arms. It is not something just tied to the militia like you hear anti-gun groups claim. But Kamala Harris joined in an amicus brief to argue against that perspective. Her position is she does not believe that the Second Amendment is an individual right. So if you look at her track record, Clearly, they do not align with these statements she's making. This is the same type of talking point that gets walked out every single time during the elections, where you'll have the liberals, the progressives who are up for nomination. They will claim that they're Second Amendment friendly, that they own guns, that they go out and hunt. They will take pictures of them hunting. But then when you look at their track record, they have voted multiple times in favor of national gun control, or their general perspective is that these types of items should be banned. And that's the exact type of person that Kamala Harris is. Now, when you look at the things that she's advocating for, like the national ban on rifles, she would try to put in place something similar to what we've seen them advocate for in the past, like the Go Safe Act, which is the gas-operated semi-automatic firearms exclusion act. A lot of people in Congress right now are trying to push for that. Kamala Harris has been on board for something like that. And essentially that would just put in place restrictions on almost every semi-automatic centerfire rifle, or just every semi-automatic rifle in general. They would like to restrict those types of rifles. They would try to maybe even include a grandfather provision where they would say, hey, we're not going to ban those items or those rifles that are already in your possession, but going forward, no one can acquire any new ones. And they always do that. The first step of that is always first to say, hey, we're going to grandfather these in. But then what we see happens with other states like California, and just which traditionally happens, is they will go back on that, and then they will blame the items that are already in your possession. They will blame those for crime, and then they will try to go back and ban those as well. So when Kamala Harris states that she is not trying to confiscate any firearms, that's what she's mentioning. She wants a national rifle ban. She wants to potentially grandfather in those items you already have. She would like to register those, but maybe she is not in favor of just directly, immediately confiscating in that. No, what she would like to do is after the fact, try to go in and ban those grandfathered rifles just a few years down the road. That is the perspective and the position that she would try to take. Again, like a politician, she is playing on words. And then when it comes to universal background checks, they like to walk out that language, but they fail to acknowledge that we already have the 4473s in the NICS system that run background checks. What they really want to do is restrict and track all private party transactions, and then also go after what they claim are so-called ghost guns. That is what they are talking about when they mention universal background checks. And then when it comes to national red flag laws, I think that's pretty blatant, of course, what they want to do. They already tried that with the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. They held out a huge carrot to all states, essentially saying that if states put in place more restrictive red flag laws, if they enforce those, and if they follow the national guidelines that they put out there, then these states will get more money. But what Kamala and her colleagues want to do is just put in place a national one. Now, the last thing I want to mention with this whole interview with Oprah is the fact that Kamala Harris makes a statement that if someone broke into her home, she would shoot that individual. And she says, well, I probably shouldn't have said that. What was interesting about that is she acts as if we don't know who she really is. No one is under any delusion that if someone were to ever break into Kamala Harris's home, that she would be the one shooting them, or that she would even do that. She's also made statements that she has the firearm locked away, it's separated from the ammunition. She's made statements like that. So I highly doubt either she's effective with that firearm, that she actually has ever shot it, or that she would know what to do in any of those situations. But even beyond that, who actually believes that anyone would ever be able to truly break into Kamala Harris's home? Because she's been surrounded by Secret Service and various security officers her entire life. Probably for the last 20 plus years, she's been surrounded by security. So she's never had to actually defend herself. She's never actually ever had to be worried about defending herself, because she's always been surrounded by security. When she was the Attorney General of California, she was surrounded by security. When she was in the Senate, she was surrounded by security. When she was a nominee originally for the presidency, she was surrounded by security. And now when she's the vice president, she's been surrounded by security. And then if she ever became president, she would also be surrounded by security. So for her entire life, she has never actually had to worry about her safety like me and you. So she likes to walk out these statements and make these claims as if we're stupid. And then you have these people like Oprah Winfrey and Taylor Swift and all of them that go along with these talking points. But again, these are all the elites. These are all the people that are left-leaning in the media. And again, they are also surrounded by security their entire life. And the reason why I think she is doing this, and the reason why I think she's been so aggressive in trying to address this, is because there's been plenty of reports going around that there are about 10 million unregistered gun owners within the entire United States. And we have that information through various sources of hunting permits and other, CCW permits and things like that. So we know that there are 10 million unregistered gun owners across the entire United States. And she knows if those gun owners ever mobilized against her, she would be done. And they would all probably vote in favor of Trump. And it would swing a lot of critical states like Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania alone has over 500,000 unregistered gun owners who do not vote despite believing in firearms in the Second Amendment. And then you have roughly about 500,000 each in states like Georgia, Michigan, Missouri, North Carolina, Virginia, Wisconsin. So a lot of the swing states could be completely swung in favor of Trump if the gun owners ever actually mobilized against someone like Kamala Harris. So again, spread this information out to other people, especially people who maybe are on the fence and believe that Kamala Harris is pro-2A. And then also just share this news to your friends who maybe are gun owners, who don't vote. You know, make them informed about these types of issues, get them out to vote. And even if you have to take a friend with you to go and vote during November 5th, please do that, because as gun owners, the 10 million of us who are not registered is unacceptable, and we need to fight against this tyranny. So if you guys like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. But as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.